Do you want to know how to make sure that your OCD doesn't get worse? We're going to talk all about it. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a child therapist and I make videos for kids with anxiety or OCD. And today I want to talk to you about how to prevent OCD from getting worse. OCD takes time and some patience to work on. And I talk a lot about how to crush your OCD and make it super tiny so that it's not upsetting you. In fact, I have an entire playlist called OCD. And so you can check that playlist out on my YouTube channel and watch all the videos that talk about different techniques and approaches on how to crush your OCD and take back your life. But this video is not about that. This video is what do you do in the meanwhile, while you're working on all those things, how do you prevent OCD from getting worse? That's a really good question, and it's one of those things that I tackle in the very beginning of the therapy when I'm working with kids. If you had a flood, you wouldn't just start cleaning up the water, right? You wouldn't just be like, oh my gosh, look at all this water in here. Let's get some rags and clean it up. No, the first thing you would do is say, where's the water coming from? Let's plug up the water. Let's turn off the water source. Let's fix the leak. And then we're going to clean up this mess. We're going to take some rags, and it's going to take a lot of time to get all this water out of this room. And there's some damage here too. We're going to have to repair that damage so that we can be back to where it was before. That's kind of like OCD, right? You're looking at all this water and you're like, okay, I have to deal with all this, right? But where is the water coming from? Let's turn off that source. Let's plug up where that water is coming from so that the flood doesn't continue to grow as we're working on this. Same thing. So we don't want you to grow any more compulsions as you're working on the compulsions that you're trying to reduce, right? So hopefully you're doing exposures. If you don't know what ERP is, I have a great video on that. And while you're doing all those good things, OCD is very crafty. It'll be like, oh, nice that you're working on all that stuff over there. Oh, how about this little new rule? And sometimes it'll be packaged up as a beautiful thing that you will not notice is OCD. So you really want to educate yourself and understand what OCD is so that it doesn't sneak in under a new theme or a new rule, a new compulsion. And when you're looking over here and trying to beat the stuff that you're working on right now, it's not over here growing, right? So education is really important. So watch videos that teach you about different themes and understand how OCD can sneak back in. But one of the most concrete things I do for the kids I work with is I have them spend one day writing down all their compulsions, anything that is something they do to feed their OCD. OCD loves to be fed, and it normally is fed through compulsions. Compulsions are rules or things that you have to do in order to satisfy your OCD. The more you feed your OCD, the bigger it grows, the happier it is, the louder it becomes, right? That's the cycle. So we don't want to feed OCD any more than we're already feeding it, right? So write down a list of all your compulsions, the things that you have to do every day, or it doesn't even have to be every day, the things that you do to feed your OCD. And then whenever you get a new compulsion, you write it down. And it's not to shame you or to make you feel bad or hopeless. It's that you visually can see exactly where your OCD is at any given time. Most of the time in my practice, it becomes a very uplifting thing to do because you start to see your progress. So you go back and you're like, I don't do that compulsion anymore. I'm scratching that off. I don't do that compulsion anymore. I'm scratching that off. Can you believe I ever did that? I don't need to do that anymore. Scratching that off. And so you're starting to see your list get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And that can be very uplifting and hopeful as you battle your OCD flood and start to cleaning up the mess that's going on. And if a new compulsion comes in, you're going to have to write it down on that list, and you don't want to grow that list. And so you're going to fight those compulsions because new compulsions are like little weeds. They are very easy to crush when they're little. So when you see a new sprout forming, you're like, nope, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to grow another big weed and I don't want to have to add that to my list. So it is a really good visual to keep you honest, to keep you on track, and to keep you from growing your OCD while you're trying to beat it. Well, I hope that makes sense, and I hope you find the sparkle in everything you do, and I'll talk to you again next Thursday.